Suzy, well, thank you for joining us. You've saw our little conversation here, and there's some things just a few things I think that it would be good for us to cover with you. And first of all, just you can do this, Mike can do it, but you can do it. How long have y'all been married?
In June, it'll be 45 years. 45
years. And tell me something about this place where we are.
It was my grandfather's. He lived, my grandmother and grandfather on my mother's side lived in Temple. My mom and my aunt lived in Fort Worth, and so this was a meeting place. We weren't as mobile back then as we are now. You don't think twice about, driving 2 hours or whatever. So we could meet here for holidays and stuff and hung out with our cousins and everything. So it has a really good meaning to me, great meaning. I just took my kids fishing and my grandkids at the front tank, and my granddad taught me to fish in that tank. So there's a lot of sentimental value to this place. Yeah.
That's really. So did your grandparents, has it been in their family, or did they buy it?
No, he bought it in '63, so we could have a meeting place, because it was like 3.5 hours to Temple at the time. Mm-hmm. And it was just harder to get there than it was to get here. And he wanted land, and he had Hereford cattle, and so
it worked.
Yeah.
So how long have y'all been here?
We have been here 43 years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I've been here 44.
Yeah. He worked here a little bit while he was doing his internship.
I had a year before we got married.
Yeah. And so, Suzy, now you taught yourself. So how long did you teach?
I taught 24 years. And most of it was in special ed.
Okay. And so right here in Granbury.
I stayed at Oakwoods, and I probably quit a little earlier than I would if my mom needed some assistance, and so I finished up and took off so I could take her to appointments and be with her more.
So tell me about your family, your kids, grandkids. Let's get a little background information on that.
I have 2 kids, Hannah and Ben, both gingers. We love our gingers, and then we have 4 grandkids. Hannah has Jace and Sadie. Jace is 11, Sadie's 8. Ben has 2 boys, and we've got Campbell and Davis. And Campbell is 3, and Davis will be 2 next month.
Oh, wow.
Busy
times.
Busy. Sweet boys, sweet girls, yeah. All good.
Yeah.
Good times, and they're very close. Hannah lives in De Leon, and Ben lives in Pecan, so we see them quite a bit. We're a close family.
Yeah. That you're very fortunate to have them close like that.
We do know that.
Yeah. So you've heard Mike and I talking. I want to. You work closely with Mike, and I want to kind of understand the nature of what y'all do in connection together on this commission work, and just tell me what it's like, what you do.
I really don't know how. Well, we both taught, and he's done art for years. Since Ben was 6 months old, he would draw and then started painting and stuff. And so, during holidays for school and summers, he would ranch and paint, and that's what we did. And he'd do some commissions and stuff. And in the background, I would do billing, and you got to think we didn't have the phones we have to take pictures and really document stuff like we do now, because sometimes I think, why didn't I do better? Well, carry a camera around and all that. I don't really know how I've always done the back side and let him do this out here, but I think it really took off more when Dan he took on the bronzes.
I see.
It really took on a life of itself to do. There's a lot of clerical paperwork that you've just got to do follow through. So he'll do the sculptures, he'll create, and then we get those bids, and then I'm the one that does the emailing and talks to the CEO at John Hancock. We talk prices and scheduling to make sure. Like, I think they've ordered 33 bronzes this year of different pieces that he has. That's a lot for any foundry to get done by the end of July. And so and we work with 2 different foundries. So there's just a lot of scheduling, making sure the molds are where they need to be and timelines are met. And so I, for whatever reason, like doing that.
So that would be the side of where the public would have no idea of how that all gets done in reality. I mean, Mike doing, like you said, doing the work, but there's a lot behind the scenes there.
I think we're a good team.
Yeah, a lot of artists. This is what keeps them from being successful. Is they don't want to do the backside that it takes. And I did it all up until. In fact, I was taking care of all of this, both sides, when Dan had just passed away, because I was trying to manage Judy's stuff for her and take care of the bronze situation. And then as that went along, she picked it up, and it was immensely taking a weight off of me.
There's a lot on the backside.
It's
to get that many bronzes taken care of. No, I love it. I'm not creative. It's a great. I think it's a good partnership. We're 45 years, and we have a lot of fun together. We really do, and I love doing it. So once he got the Yes You Can, the Rick and Dick Coit, public art was kind of like fun. It was surreal that he got that big of a piece. We were still teaching kids. It was busy, hectic, so it was just kind of surviving. And once the rudder piece, he was given the rudder piece, it was like, he goes, I really like doing public art. And so I started. There are no guidelines to what we do in art, what he does in art. There's no book that you can subscribe to. How do you
can't
market?
major in college in what we do. It's just, and people ask me all the time, my son is interested in art. Tell him how to get, I can't tell you how to get started.
Right.
But I started researching where are proposals. Where do you go for art proposals? There's got to be. So there's several places I can go to. I can look up. A lot of them I'm like, this isn't in his wheelhouse. There's been a lot of stuff we've taken on. During the pandemic, I did a proposal for the Trinity River Water District up in Fort Worth, and they had 22 buildings up there that they wanted murals on. And so I did a proposal for that, and he won that. And he almost killed me over it, because he was like, I don't do those. And it ended up probably being the best thing during the pandemic, because he does have leukemia. He has it under control, but we were very scared of COVID. And we could get out of the house, feel like we weren't just stuck here, and we'd go up there together and work on that mural.
Gave us a job.
It was a four-sided mural, and it was fun. And and it was right next to the river, and a lot of people would come by at a distance, and that's when we really saw a different side of how much art means to a community. For it's right up there at Trinity Park, and how many people really see the art up there and what it does. And so that was another one. There's a lot of times I get him into trouble. I got him a proposal for the Waco art, the Waco airport, and that ended up, they wanted a mural, and I knew doing a mural was probably not going to work, having to go back and forth to Waco all the time, because he can either fly on a painting or it can take a lot of time. So I did it as a triptych, 3-piece, 6 by 18 feet, and for whatever reason, we were actually in Oklahoma working on the Texan Rider, and we zoomed in the storage room, the warehouse, when we got down to the bottom 3 to be picked for that. And so he was like, he didn't even have a wall big enough to put all the canvases up here at one time.
Each canvas was 6 foot by 6 foot.
And so
that's why I built these racks up here on the top.
So the racks up here,
so
I
could put 2 together,
and then move them around.
Then I'd rotate and I'd put 2 more together.
And so that was another fun I just think it's interesting. I guess, I have no doubt he can do what he does. And so when I bring him a proposal and he's like, Suzy, and I'm like, you can do this. You can do this.
You need a little doubt. That's what you need.
I do. Well, it's worked out so far. And so anyway,
killing me.
So how do you find out about these?
There's certain places that you can go online that will post requests
I
for
see.
proposals.
Okay.
And I look, and there'll be a lot that just don't have anything to do with him. And there's some that you just don't ever know. And you pull it up, and they take a lot of time. They want to know the artist statement. They want to have a resume. They want you to put together the pictures of public art, which if you haven't done much, that makes it hard. But they want the pictures. They want how much it costs. They want the timeline, where it was. There's a lot that goes into that. And then what is not just the artist statement, what you see for a piece that you might be doing. There's just a lot of parts that
There's a lot of different parts to it, and what she handles, she can do most of it. She can pull all of the history of what we've done. She can do all of that background. She can pull all of that together. When it comes to an artist statement, I'll have to do the writing and tell them what my vision for it is and whatnot. And
then I go back and clean it up.
And then she'll undo my mess
No, but I clean it up. He writes it out what he wants, and then we put it in. And it's a hit or miss. You can put a lot of proposals in and not have any response. So when they come back and they're like, you're one of the three, like it's like big day. Like I get excited, and then when we win one, it's just it's thrilling to me that we can.
She's so squirrely. She'll come out. She goes, "I just love this stuff. I just love this stuff."
I do love it. I like what we do, and art is just crazy. It's the fact that we can make a living and enjoy what we do. See grandkids.
Yeah.
We're having a good place in life right now.
So you have. Sounds to me like a good appreciation for your respective responsibilities in this process. Would that be right?
Yeah, as long as pickleball doesn't get in the way, she's on top of everything.
I really don't think that was necessary.
She's vital to what we do, and we didn't know until we got in. We've done a few pieces about public art, because I've seen big statues out in parks and places all my life. I never thought about where they come from. Is that artist still alive? None of that, ever.
No.
I never thought about it. And then when you get into it, and you go, oh, well, this is something we could do. This is something we could, and we like doing the bigger jobs. Bless her heart, I'm not as young as I used to be, but
well, for a while
they're a little bit more stressful. But
he had several back to back, and then with timelines, it was tough.
Yeah.
And he did look at me one day and he said, "I need you to put the brakes on for a minute." He had about 4 painting commissions that were set to do that he put on the back burner when Beltray came up, because that really came out of the blue. We were over there delivering a painting, and he said, I do life-size sculptures. And at the time, he had just finished installing the Texan Rider, and the girl I was dealing with had seen it on social media. So she knew what he was doing, and she could add to that. And that's how that proposal. And so it was quick, because they were almost going to go with somebody already that they had worked a little marketing deal with, hiding baseballs, bronze baseballs around different cities that you take apart. And so we got our head down and we were putting together, and he was drawing pictures, and we were looking up and bidding, getting prices for concrete, because they wanted us to do the everything. Yeah. Things that he had not done before. And so it was very much, and then we're going to go over there, and then we're going to present it in this big boardroom, and very surreal when you look back at times. Something can really overwhelming, very exciting. We've led a very crazy life.
That Beltray was a little different in the fact that they wanted a bid that included everything, tearing out the sidewalk, putting in a foundation, all the electrical that went with it, and we had to dig underneath sidewalk for
And they wanted to
30
match
feet, probably.
match granite that was already on a couple of the pieces of the.
Wow.
That's okay. They wanted to match the granite, so we had to do a research and find granite that was the exact same red that matched the others, and so that was another issue to get. And then you've got people that need to set the granite, which are different from the people that do the concrete. So
Most of the projects that we do are everything's taken care of beforehand. You
Yeah,
know, they
yeah.
will take care of the foundation. They'll do the electric, all that. You just take care of the art.
yeah, we usually don't bid all that
So
into
we
it.
don't. We usually don't have to bid that. But that was every big piece we've done is there's been something to learn from it.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know. It's made us smarter.
So the public art side of your career has really taken up. Now this may be you're obvious, but really taken off since you're both are retired. I mean, is that right? And that's where you.
I think was God's plan and knew that we couldn't handle it before.
Right.
Yeah. Really, honestly,
know.
we kind of just he'd have commissions, and then he had, God love him, so he's teaching school, and he knew over Thanksgiving and Christmas, he always did 2 new bronzes for John Hancock to offer them. He's up to 50-something bronzes he's done so far. He's been with them for 21 or 22 years. And so you have people that are doing sales and they stay with the company, they're going to win every year. So you've got to come up with new things to offer them because they've won every year the same thing. So they may be buy 4 of one bronze, 6 of another, but he was always offering up. So he's coming home at Thanksgiving and Christmas and creating 2 more sculptures. We usually would show John Hancock them in clay because the timeline was not enough to get
Something cast.
cast in bronze. So they've been so good to work with us over the years, and they would see it in clay and approve it, and then they would put an order in January, and I will tell you, it is clicking to get it out by July. And I think the hardest part with any of his projects that, like the piece he did for Waco, that was on him. And he is great at scheduling. You know, some artists, you really got to, I don't say a word to him. He sets his schedule. He's a worker. I just do backside. I never have to say, hey, you probably ought to get out there in the studio and get something taken care of. He takes care of that. But the Waco project, he came up with the concept. It's his timeline. He knew what he had to do to get it done. No issues there. Same thing with Fort Worth on the Trinity, on the 4-sided mural. But when you've got a project and you only can do it to a certain point, and then you give it to a mold maker, you give it to a foundry that has like 3 different stages, then it goes to a fabricator to put it back together, and then a patina. And those all have to be coordinated. And at some point, even though they know,
all got to be managed.
They know the timeline, it doesn't always get done, and it's hard because we follow through with that. One thing I think we're real good at is that we are good about following through when we say we're going to have something done by a time. And there's nothing more upsetting is to be the day before and a project not done. And we've had that more than once, and it's it's out of our hands to a certain
Our pride
degree.
is that we do a project with the money you've given us. We meet your budget. We do it on time, and it'll get done.
Yeah.
And when these guys, when they put us in jeopardy of that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's very frustrating.
Because most people don't realize how much time it takes to do a life-size bronze. As far as the Rangers, they were amazing to work for, and they couldn't understand why Mike kept saying, you've got to make a decision, whether it's me or the other guy, but you've got to make a decision because we're about 2 months behind. And he was like, you've got till August. What's the deal? And at the end, they kept saying, we had no idea how much went into that. Like, we didn't understand why you kept saying you've got to make a decision. It was like, you've got till August. What do you need?
Yeah.
And that Mike was finished with his part in December. What are you doing the rest of the time, you know?
From December to August, what are you doing?
Yeah, so anyway.
Trying to make sure your job gets done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's very interesting, and I personally, I mean, of course, we haven't talked about that angle much, except your comment in our last interview where you said that you couldn't, and you said it, couldn't do it without her. So it's really a combination. If you just public art would be really tough, wouldn't it, for just the artist to do himself?
I couldn't put in the time that she puts in. Investigating these different projects, and we don't get them all.
Yeah,
No.
I mean, there was an opera house in Boston that I thought we had a good project for it, and it didn't even make the cut.
You just don't ever know.
Yeah.
And then,
Most of the time they'll get down to like 3 or 5 artists, and then it gets serious about what you're going to do. Some of our work is with institutions, universities, city municipalities, and some, I'm sure some county work. The job in Boston required the construction work. It's all union up there.
Yeah.
So everybody was, construction was all union guys. We pulled up there to install that thing. There were people everywhere. Safety vests, helmets, and I thought there was road construction going on, and we were going to have trouble getting through there,
Yeah.
And I said, "What's going on?" I said, "Well, we're installing a bronze today." I said, "Well, yeah, I know. I'm here for that." They said, "Well, so are we." I said, "All of you? It's a union job. You've got to have somebody for everything." They also in Boston wanted to use limestone from New Hampshire granite from New Hampshire, because that's what they're famous for. And they picked out a 24-inch, 12-foot long piece of granite.
Wow.
And had to be buried. The specs were crazy. It had to be like 6-foot concrete underneath it.
because of the weather up there.
Cold weather for so long.
The fun thing about,
We've learned a lot.
I think we were really naive on the Yes You Can piece because of the
That's the Hoyts.
the Hoyts. He had the 1
Yes.
foot that you had a cable or what do you call that thing?
Contact point.
Contact point that goes there, and then the 2 wheels which are thin, and then the front wheel. That really was the only places that they would glue it in. And so we had a really great guy, Paul Bryant, who made a template out of cardboard on where those holes would be drilled, because they needed to be drilled before we got there. So they lifted it out of that box that Mike was talking about and went to dry set it right when it started snowing. So they dry set it, and all 4 points matched. But the odds of it, sending that, folding that,
Yeah.
mailing it to Boston, and because there was no wiggle room for a mistake on that, because if you did and had to re-drill it, the points were not this far apart.
Yeah.
And so that right there was like a big win. And then, of course, the weather. But, yeah, just stuff like that that's you don't ever know what you're going to come across, and each one is different. But,
Has been so far.
yeah. But, yeah.
Well, it's interesting, to me to hear that, because doing these projects, not obviously, but there's just more to it
Yes,
than
behind the
meets the
scenes,
eye to get it done. So.
I don't know. He hadn't got rid of me yet, but we do have fun together. It's been hard. I mean, there's been some hard times, no doubt, but I do think it's made us closer as far as working together and seeing it through,
I guess that's going to be an observation. I guess y'all have a great appreciation for what you do and the important necessity of both of you to get these things done.
Yeah, I never worry about what she's done.
Well, that's real nice. You should tell me that more.
Well, this is on camera, so that makes it.
When he's out of here, I got questions.
Well, hey, I appreciate you guys, talking with us today. Mike, appreciate the time. Suzy, I think it really well, and we appreciate you.
Well, Thank you.
Thank you for wanting
Thank you
to
for
hear
wanting to
from
do
us.
it.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.